What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 4, I believe, of Unpopular. We've had a pretty long holiday hiatus.
Yeah, but, it's been a turbulent time.
Well, I mean, we recorded our Christmas episode at the beginning of December, basically. Yeah. And then we haven't done anything since. Because, I mean, we've done the holidays and all that shit, and we got stuff going on. We're busy.
Busy.
Okay.
Despite being terribly unpopular, nobody liking us, we're terribly busy people.
It's true. It's true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked up a new job doing remains removals, which has been super interesting.
It sounds like a fun time, sir.
Yeah,
I had to deal with the living.
Yeah, it's paying the bills. What can I say? It's really calm, really quiet, and the customers don't complain.
I envy that.
Yeah. But in this week's episode, or this month's episode, we thought we would do a little bit of a rewind and cover some older stuff that we really enjoy that isn't in current circulation and maybe needs a little bit more attention. So we're going to be picking two things today. We're talking about House, the 1977 Japanese film that I think was just put on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's weird. This movie, it had been kind of circulating a lot in the past couple years. It's like a cult movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't really start kind of getting a lot more attention until recently. And I feel like you see it a lot more on streaming platforms. And it's even on HBO Max now, I think.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I saw that and I was like, oh, well, this movie's starting to kind of get bigger, and it's a trip.
Yeah. Well, we were at the video store and I saw the cover. I'm like, I want to check this out. And you were like, oh, so-and-so mentioned this movie to me. And I watched the trailer and it looks fucking weird. So I picked it up and it was just wild, man. Absolutely wild movie. And I don't hear anyone talking about this. It's on the Criterion Collection. And it's like the most psychedelic, trippy movie I've ever seen in my life.
It is an absolute fever dream.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's really interesting. It's got a lot going on. You can tell there's attention to detail in every single shot. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And then we're doing Pull Box today, where we're talking about, man, I fucking love this book. It's so good. It's a 4-part mini-series, and it makes me cry every single time. And I'll probably tear up a little bit talking about it today.
Yeah.
But it's Silver Surfer Requiem, which came out during the Marvel Knights time. And it's like everything else that came out during Marvel Knights. It's sad, it's depressing, and
it's good sad boy stuff.
It's sad boy shit, and I love sad boy comics. That's my favorite. So if it's sad, I'll think it's good. And I think I was just complaining like a couple months ago. I'm like, why can't every comic book be sad?
It'd just be terribly depressing. Like I said, dude, you need to read Brotherhood.
I know, you've been telling me to read Wolverine Brotherhood for months now, dude, and I'm slacking.
It's so good. It's just the last issue, because it's a very Wolverine-centric book, and
okay.
We'll get into that another day. But I digress. Silver Surfer Requiem is a fantastic series. Like I said,
we don't hear about the Silver Surfer enough. I don't think he gets enough love.
And the thing is, it's hard to build drama around a character like Silver Surfer, and honestly the only way to do it around a character like him is to make it so that he's dying.
Yeah,
honestly.
Spoiler alert.
With the title like Requiem, I mean, it's kind of a dead gimmick.
No, I'm just fucking around. Plus this book's been out for probably like 15 years.
Oh, right.
It
is what it is. It's a great story.
But yeah, it's about the Silver Surfer dying. It's really sad. It's in 4 parts. Isad Rabik did the artwork for this, and I love him because he did the artwork for the new Marvel Conan series that came out a couple years ago at this point. And Conan's fucking awesome. And we don't get enough Conan as it is. And the man he's a very simple but very deep individual.
He is. It's there's a reason why only Arnold could play Conan.
Oh, this Conan is like strictly blood, tits, and steel, baby. Yes. That's all he needs, and it's
what
like
it all comes down to, man.
Right, but he's so profound at times. That's what I love about.
Oh, right.
Conan,
no, he's just as much a philosopher as he is a barbarian.
Right. Don't say that to him though.
No. He'll just cut your fucking head off.
But that's what we got going on this week's episode. But I want to bullshit a bit because it's been a long time since we got together. And things that have happened since we last got together. The Evil Dead Rise trailer came out. The Reinfeld trailer came out. Renfield.
Yeah,
sorry, whatever.
But Reinfeld, Okay, that works too.
We'll probably say it. We'll probably say it however way a dozen times until I get it right.
But Nick Cage is Dracula.
Did you watch the trailer?
I watched the first half of it, and then but fortunately something happened, and I didn't get to finish the latter half.
Okay.
But I saw him eating the bugs and stuff, and I'm like, oh Christ, man, he gets juiced up on friggin' eating bugs.
I love Nicolas Cage. These last 5 years, he's just like, yeah, I'll fucking do
I'll
it,
do
whatever.
whatever the fuck you want.
So he's great. And Evil Dead Rise looks interesting.
I didn't watch the trailer for that yet.
Yeah, we really don't see much. It was just like one of those short, choppy,
Yeah.
spoiler trailers. And we just see like the main girl wielding a chainsaw and some deadites. And it looks like it could be okay. But the thing is, I don't know if it's a sequel to the reboot that came out. Do you remember the Evil Dead reboot?
Yeah. I think...
Or if it's streamlined with all of the other Evil Dead canon.
I think that it's going to kind of like bridge everything in
Yeah.
a way, kind of like connect everything in a way.
Okay,
Like,
because the thing that makes me think it's like the reboot is at the end of the trailer, it has that same red, black, and white pattern that the posters for the reboot have.
okay, yeah, right, yeah.
So that's the only reason. I might be totally wrong.
No, but that makes sense. If it, from what I've seen the promos, it looks like it's much more in keeping with the reboot.
Okay.
Like, just aesthetically, I guess. So yeah, that makes sense. But I think that they'll kind of like marry them a little bit.
Okay.
Like, they're gonna kind of like make it, I hope, a little bit more slapsticky.
It's not a bad idea, since I think especially since like Ash is on, he's out. You
Yeah.
know, let it be its own thing. I thought the reboot was good in its own right.
Yeah, but it to me, it just felt like it was just more of a horror story. And
Loosely,
Yeah,
like with a skin kind of.
yeah, you know, and
like,
it's just it didn't really feel. It just kind of became more of a torture porn movie again.
Okay,
You know,
that's fair.
and I don't hate that it was, because Evil Dead does kind of push on like that kind of stuff.
I just didn't like that they made the main girl a junkie. I'm like, that's awfully
Oh,
2,000 plus of you to make
Very
this girl a
edgy,
recovering
yeah.
addict,
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like I don't know what they're trying to go with there, but I don't hate it. I don't love it or anything. It's whatever.
Right. And before I go on to my next point, which I want to let you all know that I don't care about in the slightest, but it happened and the world cares. But Nick isn't joining us tonight. Unfortunately, Nick is sick.
Nick.
Yeah, it's just kind of an empty spot. He's sick this week, so I'm manning the helm. That's why you see me with this keyboard and looking at the screen quite weird at times. But we're muddling
We're
through
managing,
it.
yeah.
We're going to make
without
it
our,
happen.
Without the man in the chair.
That's right.
We do miss him dearly.
Get better, bud. So yeah, my next point, like I said, I don't care about. Avatar 2 came out, and I don't give a fuck.
I really don't.
Oh, dude, I didn't think Avatar 1 was that great.
I just didn't really care. I mean, it's a story about, like, it's very tropey.
And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, it's Dances with Wolves, oh, it's Pocahontas. They're making memes now about people that make that remark, so I'm not gonna do it. But I mean, it's an unoriginal storyline with just all CGI, man, and like, it looks good, but there's nothing there. Kind of like
It's
me.
just- yeah, pretty much. I feel like
There's nothing there.
just because we're lacking a soul.
Yeah,
I think
right.
it might be because of it, but I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, and I love James Cameron. I know he's an asshole, and I know he's a shithead, but like,
But he's a fine director and all this.
Right.
Terminator was a fantastic. Terminator 1 and 2, fantastic movies.
oh, absolutely.
There's no denying it. And then something happened in 3, and then from there, just let's not.
I remember me and Nick saw 3 in theaters, and I remember the only cool part that I remember is when the T-Rex. Isn't that what it's called? T-Rex?
The Terminatrix.
Terminatrix.
Yes.
But isn't it T-Rex for short?
Was it?
I don't know.
I thought it was just a Terminatrix.
I'll clarify. But
That's awful. It's a
oh,
T-Rex.
dude, and she like bursts her hand through the officer's chest that's driving the car, and then grabs the steering wheel and starts driving.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That was,
I was like 13 probably,
Yeah, it's stuff that, like, any teenage kid would think that was awesome.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the life that, like, the first two
Oh,
movies
no,
did,
absolutely.
And you know why is, honestly, the first two have a very strong horror movie feel
Sure.
compared to the everything after this.
Bum, 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 bum.
It's scary, dude. It's got that awesome synthy soundtrack.
Yeah,
It's great, man.
No, it's a classic up there with like Aliens.
Oh,
I think
most
Aliens and Terminator 2 are like in the same playing field, if not Terminator 1.
Yeah,
We'll see.
most definitely.
That 90s show came out.
Oh, I forgot.
Do you guys hear that?
Crickets?
It's all the people that care. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be a shithead this week. But it's like, that 90s, like who? I mean, it could be good, but you just have Kitty in Red, and I wasn't there for just Kitty in Red in that 70s show.
Yeah, I mean, what else? That's all they have to work with?
They have a new batch of shithead teenagers. Like, who... I mean, maybe the younger audience will like it and then want to go back and watch that 70s show. But, like, who's this? I don't know. I'll watch an episode, I guess. And maybe I'm making an ass of myself right now, and it's really good. But I'm predicting that
We typically err on the side of asshole.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah, that 90s show came out. Megan came out, and I heard that Megan was good.
Which I honestly, when I saw it, I was like, or the trailers, I'm like, dude, this looks so...
This is child's play.
Basically,
Yeah.
It's appealing to like the whole Uncanny Valley thing.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but the dancing thing, I was just like, oh god.
Oh, dude, the dancing, they look so dumb.
It's so
like,
silly, man. Like,
and what was that, like Billie Eilish playing in the background or some other spooky alternative musician girl?
Yeah. Like,
But
they're gonna put Billie Eilish in everything.
yeah, I mean, she did. She had a good
And
song.
I don't hate that. She's a great.
Why do you hate Billie Eilish?
I said
Yes.
that I Billie Eilish.
You heard it here.
Hey, as much as I'm an asshole, I can say that I don't hate Billie Eilish. She makes great music.
No, I think Billie Eilish does make great music. She's a super talented young person, and
She said some asshole things from what I heard.
I mean, that's
But
fair
I mean,
because she was probably young.
probably young, and you know, kids say stupid things.
Right, at least she's not like the post-Disney kid who's like running around doing drugs or, you know, going to rehab constantly. And she did that song for, what's that?
The
the 007 movie.
Right,
was it the last? I think it was. It was No Time to Die.
Time to Die.
And I just watched that the other day, and that is the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie I've ever watched. And it's the last one.
That's awful, man.
And I'm like, wait, James Bond dies! Like, what? Okay, so I'm like, I guess I'll watch Casino. I'll start at the beginning because I think I've mentioned on here last week that I think James Bond movies are boring.
Okay, I can understand why.
And it's like, I haven't ever been in the mood to watch them. And this is kind of brought it up in me. I'm like, I guess I'll give Daniel Craig a shot.
Daniel Craig's a good Bond, for sure.
Pierce Brosnan just became like a magazine
Oh,
at a certain point where it's just cars, booze, jewelry, and girls.
Yeah,
Like, that's all that it was.
yeah, pretty much. And I mean, GoldenEye was definitely his highlight.
Yeah, GoldenEye was the highlight, and to me, that's why he is my James Bond, because that's kind of the first 007 movie I ever watched, and I was pretty young.
I feel like a lot of people, because obviously the game, you know,
Yeah.
they had to watch the movie because of the
I was
game.
so bad at GoldenEye. I'm so bad at it, man.
I mean, I wasn't good, but I think everybody can universally say they enjoyed the shit out of that game
Right,
to no end.
right.
But yeah, good old GoldenEye.
Yeah, I've never been good at it, but you know, everyone got kills for me, so you're welcome.
He should have just been Oddjob, man.
I tried. I tried. Even as Oddjob couldn't fucking make it happen. But that just started my long run of being absolutely terrible at first-person shooters. I'm not good at them.
I suck too.
I'm
But every
terrible.
now and then, like, there'll be like a moment, like it's almost like where the stars will align perfectly, and for like 20 minutes, I'll be a fucking awesome
You're just a
first-person
god.
shooter.
You're
Yeah,
like,
I remember
"Yeah."
this one time I was playing with like my cousins and my uncle, Call of Duty Zombies, and I'm typically the one dude that they always has to get revived. Outside of my
That's
uncle.
me.
Yeah,
That's
but
me.
this one day I was friggin'. I don't know what the hell happened, but I was the MVP of the whole friggin'.
You were just on the sauce
Yeah,
that day,
I was
dude.
just friggin' killing it, and it never happened again. Probably.
Yeah.
Do out in another 10 years that I'll probably be able to persevere to first person shooter.
Meh. I tried Destiny for a long time, and unless I'm playing like every day, I'm absolutely terrible. And
Yeah.
I can't play games like that. Like, I've got the new God of War Ragnarok for Christmas, and I've been really enjoying it, but I only play it for like an hour at a time. Because after an hour, I'm like, I got shit to do. Or,
Yeah.
like, I don't know why I can't relax, but,
No, yeah, I get it. Sometimes it's... Well, I was telling you about Darkwood.
Yeah.
And that game it's a great slow burn. And it's definitely not a game you could just, like, pick up and get around in or whatever. Like
Sure.
those roguelites. I love roguelites because you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a run in 10, 15 minutes. If you die, you can turn it off and start back.
Move on with your day or whatever.
Darkwood is such like a slow burn.
Okay.
And it's much more survival than it is horror. It's a it's like, oh man, it's just, you would love it.
I'll check out some gameplay.
It's actually it's made by a Polish developer, I think, Acid Wizard.
Oh, okay.
And it ties into like a lot of Slavic folklore stuff.
Okay,
It's
that's cool.
dark. It's some dark shit. It's very depressing.
I'll check it out. I've been thinking about streaming again. Maybe.
I think that you'll dig it, man.
If you guys want to watch me play some games, I'm not good at them, but I like sitting and playing games. Like,
yeah, every now and then I get bit by that bug, and I just disappear for a month into my Xbox, and you won't hear from me.
Yeah, that's
Darkwood
totally
is
fair.
the game that's keeping me there.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk about Oscar nominations, but I think we've been bullshitting for quite some time. So let's just move, before we get into our subjects really quick, I want to go over, James, have you watched any movies in this last month? Anything. I want to talk about all of the not talk about it, just run through everything I've watched. Since I haven't been watching One Piece for like 2 weeks, I've been just binging movies.
Honestly, I hadn't really been watching. There was. What the hell was it called?
What's it on?
Well, no, I rented it from video exclusive.
Okay.
It was an animated Night of the Living Dead feature.
Oh, yeah.
It was okay. It wasn't like anything all that special. The animation wasn't great, but I mean, for what it was. It hits all the the proper notes, and it's basically word for word scripted exactly like the original.
Okay, I mean that's.
Which I like that it maintained.
That's safe.
The one thing that I will say it's infinitely like more violent, like the truck
Okay.
explosion, like with Barbara and the one Tommy, I think his name is.
Yeah, they can add more detail.
Yeah, like the engine blows and like she gets her throat blown out and like his half his head blown. It's definitely way more gorier and stuff like that. It was okay. Other than that, I watched House. I hadn't really been watching. I mean, I've been digging around on YouTube. It's been a weird. I haven't really been able to sit down and commit to watching anything, which sucks.
That's fair. I totally get that. Listen to this list, because this is quite something. The Mario Brothers movie. I haven't watched that in probably 20 years.
Oh, you're talking about the 90s one.
The live action one.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I remember watching.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Why does it look like Blade Runner?
Oh, I said the same thing. I'm like, this is Mad Max Blade Runner World Underground.
Yeah.
And if you didn't call anything the names, like if the train station wasn't called Koopa Square, and I told Tori, I'm like, if you didn't call any of this stuff Mario stuff, you could just name it a different movie, and it's something different entirely.
Right.
Like, you don't have to call this a Mario movie. She's like, yeah, right, look, it's Mario and Luigi. I'm like, look, how about we say it's Luigi and Benny, right? We change one name. Is it still Super Mario Brothers movie? She's like, I mean, yeah. I'm like, okay, Mario's Luigi and Luigi's Benny. She's like, okay, no. I'm like, yeah, dude, nothing about this is Super Mario.
No, man.
So, anyway, it's been a long time since I saw that, but that's that. The Mario Brothers movie, Rocky 1 through 5.
Oh, Jesus.
Because they put that on Netflix.
Because you hadn't watched them like 50 million times already.
I had this. The hardest thing I had to do in these last 2 weeks was try not to cry when Mick died. When my wife and my son are in the room with me, I'm like, "Fucking hold it together, man! Hold it together, man!" And like, dude, every time. But yeah, Rocky 1 through 5, they're all fantastic. I love them.
Okay.
Barbershop 2, Rambo, the reboot. Like the first reboot,
okay, yeah,
where he rips
yeah.
the guy's throat.
Oh, yeah, that one's awesome.
Yeah. Black Adam, which was interesting. It was what it was. I didn't have any hopes for it. I was like, let's see The Rock do some cool shit. And he did some cool shit. I watched Where the Crawdads Sing, which is a mystery romance drama based off the best-selling book of last year, or one of the best-selling books of last year.
I've seen the poster for it, exclusive.
It's fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb.
That's it.
So the movie felt like a shallow comparison of a novel.
Okay.
You know, it felt like it was just a skimmed version of the book. I didn't read the book, but that's what it felt like. And at the end of the day, it's the glorification of a murder for romance purposes. So
seems legit.
And like, so the trailers, it's about this girl who lives in a swamp and was raised herself in the swamp, and then she meets these boys, she falls in love with one of them, then one of them mysteriously dies. So the whole town, who has excluded her whole life, thinks that she did it, and now she's on the stand, and it's kind of like The Conjuring 3, where it's like a trial with movie bits,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, going on. And she's like, no, it's all you who had problems with me, not me with you, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like standing up for her, proving her innocence. And at the end, you find out she fucking killed the guy. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's ridiculous. But Where the Crawdads Sing, I rewatched Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I'm standing up for Prometheus now. I think Prometheus is a pretty solid movie.
I like Prometheus.
If you count it as not an alien movie.
I think it's great. I mean, I still consider part of the whole mythos, you know, but I don't. I thought Prometheus was enjoyable just on its own.
Yeah, you don't lump it in with all of the other alien movies.
No,
really.
but I mean, it's its own thing, and it kind of gives us kind of like an answer to, like, you know, where they come from or whatever. But it doesn't have to be an alien movie.
My problem was with Covenant is that it gave us too much of an answer. It really jumped the shark on like all of the backstory that happened before Alien, you know, or what. It's just like, I don't need all of that. I don't need to see what happened to all of the engineers. I like that to be more of a mystery because it's not the main focal point. I'd rather focus on stories about mega corporations trying to obtain the most dangerous specimen in the universe and use it for their own reason.
I love learning like the mythos about like all the other stuff, like the space jockey and stuff. I wanted to know the story.
That is interesting, but like the whole thing, and I think David is the best part of Prometheus and Covenant. He's the synth or whatever.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender. And he's great. He's the best part, I think, of both of those movies, even though he looks super weird with long hair in Covenant. It just looks so wrong. Yeah, it's like, you're the smartest guy, like, on the planet, and you've been studying the xenomorphs and doing fucking all your science shit, and you couldn't make a pair of scissors and cut your fucking hair. Yeah, you fucking loser. So
you just think he's an idiot because you don't like his haircut.
Yeah, he looks goofy, dude. I watched Halloween Ends, which I texted you almost immediately after watching it, that I thought it was fucking terrible.
It's not good.
No, good concept, poor execution. And
I'm not mad that they made the leaps that they did.
No.
But the way they were done were awful.
We can see something interesting and different like this idea, and that's not a problem. It's just like, man, I fucking hated that guy.
Corey.
Corey!
Yeah.
He was a fucking wiener, dude. I hated him.
Like I said, man, he was basically just a poor man's Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and these like band geeks that are super tough and picking on people. It's like, what the fuck is that?
It was cool getting to see those little assholes get it, though.
Yeah.
Blow torch to the face and
right.
stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty, like, the kills when they were there were cool. But it wasn't
Michael that was performing it. That was the thing. You know?
It was lame. Yeah. And then I watched the first episode of Kaleidoscope on Netflix, which is a mini series about crime, which I don't know. Do you know the concept for that show?
No, but I've seen this still, and it has. I like the one guy that's in that.
He's in Breaking Bad or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
But he's been in a lot of shit.
Yeah.
He does like a lot of like voice acting work and stuff too. I think.
Yeah, but the concept with this show is that there's 8 episodes, each one named a different color. And viewers will watch the episodes out of order with other viewers. So when Nick started the show, he started on episode purple. When I started the show, I started on episode 9. And it doesn't matter what the layout of the episode is, it all takes place at different points throughout the heist, the different episodes. But to the viewer, whatever order you watch it in makes sense to you. So you will have a different experience from other viewers that watch the show because you're watching it in a different order.
No shit.
So I think the concept is cooler than the actual show, but
it's not done.
It's fine. It's a fine show.
Yeah,
it's just like it's whatever. We'll see if it gets any better. I've only watched the first episode.
Okay, that's an awesome concept. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, that's literally everything I've watched. Not everything. I probably watched Alien 5 times since then because I like that movie.
There was some. I feel like there was something else that I watched Encanto.
How'd you like it?
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm good.
It was a fun movie. You know,
I haven't watched that one. I've been out of the Pixar loop.
Yeah, well, I just watched it like with my nephew over Christmas, and he loved it, and I watched it because he loved it, and it was good.
Dude, like most movies, Pixar movies will make me cry.
This will do the same. It's from the heart, man. Like, you know, Pixar, they know what they're doing as far as that stuff's concerned.
I'm a fucking crybaby, dude.
Oh, dude,
I'll
tear up over it. It doesn't matter what it is. I probably will tear up over the stupidest shit. It doesn't matter. I'm a crybaby.
All right, so I think we've bullshitted enough here. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Would you like to start with the pull box or the ticket booth? I'll give you the choice.
I'll start with the ticket booth.
All right, let's go to the ticket booth. All right, let me pull up my notes here because it's certainly going to be needed. Because this movie is super interesting and it has a lot going on. And I need to pull up the IMDb so I pronounce everyone's name correctly. Not that I need to list off a ton of actors and actresses. I'm just gonna go for the director.
You're not gonna do this like Joe Samurai. Like are you Fukushima?
Origato. All right, IMDb. Here we go. Homeboy.
Gotta get the names right.
At least one of them. At least the director and the writers, right? All right, so this is House from 1977. It is a psychedelic horror comedy. I don't even know what you would call it.
It's not really classifiable. It's definitely, I would consider like an art film.
Oh, that reminds me. I have a specific theme for this week's episode. That's fucking art. And because we have two things on this episode that are fucking art. Like this and Requiem.
Yeah, but they're both art.
I'm gonna add a glitter swipe and everything.
Of course, you gotta have the
That's
sparkles and the sound
art.
effect. And
All right, let me see if I can get this right. The director of House is Nobuhiko Obayashi. I think I did pretty good on that. And the writers are Chiho Katsura, who did the screenplay, and Shigumi Obayashi, who did the original story. So I wonder what they were taking at the time when they thought of this original story, because this is, honestly, I was telling you before we started, this is like the most psychedelic movie I've ever watched and heard nobody talk about.
It's really strange, but I will say that it's immediately not grounded in reality, because right out the gate, I knew that it had to have been some kind of strange parallel universe, because the girl's dad says that Sergio Leone likes his music better than Ennio Morricone.
Right.
I was like, no, but I was like,
that's an art joke.
No, but I was thinking to myself again. I'm like, okay, well, I haven't listened to this guy, and he's Japanese. He could be phenomenal, but still, Morricone's great. Anyhow,
so this is a story, roughly, and I have a one sentence description because it's the easiest way to do this before we actually break apart the movie. It's a story about a girl and her group of friends going to visit her aunt at her creepy cabin.
Yeah.
For summer vacation.
Yeah. And it's only through certain complications. Like, they have other plans, but ultimately...
I got it all right here.
Yeah.
We'll burn through it. I made sure to be on point this week,
yeah,
so we don't have
another
bullet train issue.
Yeah, dude, Bullet Train was... Yeah, that was...
We butchered that one. But
well, this one could easily be butchered, too, because it's such a weird...
That's what I was worried about, because it's like, all right, no, I'm going to be on point. I'm watching this first thing in the morning, you know. So this is a Toho film, our good friends at Toho, who make everything that we love, especially the new movie we're going to see. Not to jump right off the theme, but we're going to see Shin Ultraman this week. I bought the tickets earlier. Got good seats. I can't believe a fair amount of seats were bought out for this movie. But I'm super excited.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I haven't seen an Ultraman movie since I was a kid.
I've only watched the original series and then... What is it? Super Cyber Samurai Squad?
The Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad!
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the opening for that show is fucking dope.
Superhuman Samurai!
He's just like, the little background happens, and then he picks up the guitar, and then he gets sucked into the computer, and like, oh, dude, it's such a great show. And I remember like watching it as a kid, and it feels like a fever dream because it's like I don't remember the fine details about the show, but I'm like, oh yeah, that kid riffed on the guitar and then got sucked into the computer and fought against, as Ultraman, these monsters, like, And then I watched SSSS Gridman, which is an anime, which I found out 3 episodes in. SSSS stands for Super Cyber Samurai Squad,
which is basically the same.
And it was like a Fooly Cooly, and SSSS, I'm not going to say the name again, had a baby, so that was pretty good. But yeah, Toho, I'm excited. So this movie starts out, we get a weird photo taking scene to start, but what's so awesome about this movie is that every shot, every transition is just so fucking different and experimental, and you can tell he was really trying to do something different with every single shot, because in this weird photo taking scene where one girl's taking a picture of another one, it's a layered shot on top of a blurred background, and then when they're done taking the photo, she leaps into the actual. She just walks naturally, and it gets rid of the foreground. Yeah, and she's in the background.
And it just blends it kind of scene. It's really weird. Like the way the movie does that kind of stuff a lot.
Oh, throughout the whole thing. And that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, it's definitely very artful, and you knew that he had something very particular in mind for every shot, and he followed through.
Dude, almost every single shot, I'm sitting there and I go, oh, whoa, yeah. Like, wow, like, just for a normal shit, like, I'm going to get into a second, it's one of my favorite edits in the movie, but it's these Japanese schoolgirls, it's the end of the summer, they're talking about how they're going to spend their summer. I put every transition's unique, feels like a 90s Japanese commercial, because this looks like all of the commercials they cut up and put for vaporwave videos and shit online. It's just like, that's exactly what it looks like. And it's the main character, gorgeous, talking to her friend, and then we get a weird flashback because they're like, oh, your father's so great, and she goes, my father, and it drifts into a flashback, and it's about her father coming home from Italy, and like you mentioned, he's a great composer. And he mentions, and she's like, oh, are we gonna go to that place we're supposed to go for summer? And he's like, yeah, but we have a companion, and he brings home this lady. And what I laugh about this particular lady, every time she's on scene, the wind is blowing
her scarf every time.
Every fucking time.
Every time. And I'm like, every time her scarf is just, it doesn't, and she dramatizes everything. Gesture. It's like full of like some kind of divine beauty. Like she's supposed to be like just the most motherly and angelic person ever. And
even when she's on scene with other people, the wind is just
still blowing
her scarf. Yeah. So funny. I loved it. But she's not cool about it. And she's like, oh, you're not my mom. Bleh, I'm not going with you guys. And she runs off. And what did I put here? Steps out like a ghost. Girl is not happy. Oh, when she walks into her room, we get another really cool shot. She goes to change her clothes. She just does a spin. The camera spins. Her clothes change. And everything changes.
The transitions are awesome.
Oh, fucking awesome, man. And, then she basically is just looking through old pictures of her mom and notices, like, oh, yeah, I got that aunt. Maybe I'll write to her and see if I can visit her for summer vacation, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because
you're not my mom.
Right, she sees her aunt in the photos and, like, she gets the idea to, like, write her aunt.
Reconnect with her.
And she doesn't hear from her, but then, like, she gets a letter and the cat makes its first appearance.
Oh, no, that's not the cat's first appearance. No. But it's the first kind of nod that, like... Because the cat shows up literally, I think, right before she even starts talking to her friends. Like, when she's in her room looking at the pictures. The cat, like, hops on the window, and she's like, oh, hey!
Right, because I think... basically, the moment she starts considering her aunt is when the cat basically appears.
Right.
Blanche the cat.
The cover of our movie.
Yes. And Blanche is quite the character in itself.
And the thing is, I also, before we go to them, like, at the school talking with all their friends, I wrote down that the music in this movie changes constantly.
Oh.
It's like the main theme, really sad, then bum 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 bum,
Oh,
bum,
dude.
like really happy-go-lucky shit. Like
there's my favorite piece of music in probably the whole movie is when they roll up in the watermelon guy.
oh yeah,
Dude, it's just that weird burp, 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 and he just like,
oh, it's goofy and
it's
weird.
silly as fuck,
Tori-
and I love it.
Tori did mention, because she was doing something while I was watching the movie and she was just listening. She's like, it sounds like the theme from Up. It sounds like just like Up, or I think The Thing, maybe. Like a mix of the two.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
This came out first. Well, maybe not first. When did The Thing come out?
I think came out in 80.
Okay, so before
Yeah, it was late 80s.
So, anyway, it jumps to the school where we meet all of the other characters, all of Gorgeous's friends. And they're all aptly named after their attribute.
Their traits, yeah. We got
Kung Fu, Mac, Prof, Melody, Sweet, Fantasy, and I think that's it.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous is the main one, yeah.
Gorgeous. That's 7. There's 7 altogether.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Kung Fu, Mac, Prof, Melody, Sweet, Fantasy, Gorgeous. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we got all of them. And while they're talking to each other about their plans for the summer, every time a character talks, it swipes to the left or to the right to give them their bit of the conversation instead of just showing them in a dynamic angle where you can see both of them talking. And I loved it.
Well, except for that one wide shot outside the school where they're all talking about what they're gonna do.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you just kind of see it gets muffled, and we get that tunnel vision just on
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff, like, you know, it's shit like that.
They do that multiple times in the movie to make you focus.
Right. Or like
when the watermelon guy goes, "Howl."
I love that just because I knew that that's like what they're going with the trailer, and I love that part in the trailer, just howl.
So it even starts at the beginning of the movie.
Yep.
But yeah, they're talking about what they're gonna do, and it swipes. It's a really interesting and neat shot. And they realize that all their plans are falling through, and they have nowhere to go for the summer. And because Mr. Togo, their happy-go-lucky older guy friend who drives a car, he's a total goofball.
Togo.
He can't drive them to where they gotta go because I think his wife's having a baby or something. He makes up a couple different excuses.
But yeah, and then he says he's gonna be there like the next morning, and he kind of takes his sweet ass time, and he's basically useless.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the White Knight, as it's made out to be, but he doesn't do anything.
They play him up in the head, but they speculate that Kung Fu might be manlier than he is.
Exactly. Yeah. And Kung Fu's a great character.
I love Kung Fu.
They use her so well throughout this whole movie. All the shots of her doing her karate stuff is
and the
fun.
music to play like every time she goes into her bit.
Yep.
Like it's just like every character has their own little motif, and they play it up so well.
So Gorgeous invites them all to her aunt's. And the aunt responds, and clearly the cat's involved because she does get the letter back from her aunt. The cat's on the mailbox. And the aunt's like, "Oh my God, like, yes, come. I've been waiting for you for all these years." And so they decide to pack up and go. And then it also shows that the new stepmother, with the wind blowing on her and everything, decides that she will meet Gorgeous up there without telling her to surprise her. So hopefully they can bond a little bit more. Which, I mean, is a terrible idea to do to a teenage girl, I think.
You ain't gonna stop a woman who has perpetually the scarf blowing in the wind at all times.
It's true. I wonder, like, when she's driving, does it stay still? Or does it, like...
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like no matter what, it's always got to have some kind of drama involved in her little scarf thing.
And then, so after all of that, everyone decides what they're going to do. We have a weird morning scene that seems like a Japanese coffee commercial where music's playing and there's two people outside of a garage drumming. We see Mr. Togo being a total goofball.
Yeah.
Then he falls down the stairs into some Tetsuo the Iron Man stop motion animation where his ass falls in a bucket and then it's just dragging him everywhere.
Oh my God.
Just super weird. It doesn't need to be
weird. Yeah, it's not. It's such a weird, obtuse thing that just sticks out in the middle of the movie. Yeah. Everything with him sticks out. But then again, like, everything about the movie's obtuse, so...
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah. So they all get on the train, and a really cool transition happens once again. Because it's like the kid's storybook. They see a kid reading a storybook, and then the whole thing transitions to, like, a storybook painting of the train. And then it transitions again that the storybook painting is... when they're sitting inside of the real train, it's still storybook on the outside window of the train, which was super
and it's like, you know,
fucking cool.
it's like like an illustrated background and
Yeah.
like a rainbow, and it's definitely really cool. Awesome shot.
Yep.
Is that when they start talking about the history of the aunt and the dad?
Yeah, it turns into like an old school film reel.
Yes.
And flashback scene that looks like old movie reel about the aunt and her husband who went off to war but never came back. Random things are colored, which made it pop really cool.
And the thing that to note too here is like they're talking about this really heavy subject matter about the husband never coming back, but the way they're talking about it, it's kind of really disrespectful.
Sure.
Like it's definitely very light in a way that it shouldn't be.
Because they're joking.
Yeah, you know,
throughout the
but
whole thing.
the way they're talking about it, it's just you can definitely tell that the aunt was suffering quite a bit, like in the whole story.
Right, and the aunt was suffering, and the thing is, we also find out that the aunt was super jelly.
Yes.
Of the mom getting married, because at the end of the reel, it's like, oh, this is my mom getting married, and you just kind of see the aunt.
See her
like,
look, yeah, she's
she's frumpy, not feeling it. So another great transition shot, because this movie is nothing but great transition shots
at all times.
They get off the bus to multiple painted backdrops as they walk through the woods to the aunt's house. So they step off the bus drives away, it shows that they're standing in front of a backdrop of the woods or the field, and then they step away, and I think the set is part real set and still backdrop.
Yeah, it's definitely a very mixed media kind of like look to it.
Like we'll get the painted sky backdrop on top of a real field set with like weird green screen stuff on top of it, like so many layers going on.
Yeah.
It just looks great. So yeah, they do that, and we get a really cool POV camera shot through. It's like a 90s TV show intro where like the camera's like going through and the branches separate as the camera's going through. Super fun. And we get to the watermelon salesman next to the cabin.
My favorite character.
Oh, dude, this guy's fucking weird. He's just a total goofball. He's just like, he has a little stand there where he sells melons. He points them to the house because he clearly knows the house and who lives there. And he's just a total goofball. He's like talking to the watermelon head, you know.
The watermelon is just completely spherical. The fat girl, we have to call her the fat girl because she's not really fat.
She's the skinniest fat girl I've ever seen.
Skinniest fat girl, which is problematic. She's not really fat, but they all call her the fat girl. She's the eater.
Right.
She's very excited about the watermelon. She picks it up, the perfectly spherical watermelon. And Homeboy's head is right there.
Yeah,
super
right
sweaty.
behind it. Right.
Just, and the music that goes along with it, I don't remember, but it was perfect. Like, that whole scene was just great.
Well, it's like, I love the next scene. They walk away from the watermelon salesman. They get up to the cabin, the house, whatever. And then a fake-ass bird flies through on a string.
Yes. It's like, I think it was Sweet, turns around, she's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what?
So ridiculous, but I loved it. Auntie rolls out in a wheelchair with the cat.
She's got glasses on.
Yeah, the cat's already with her. And
she's looking very frail.
Yeah, and she's in a wheelchair. They meet her. They move up towards the entrance of the house. And one of them tries to take a picture, and then suddenly the cat uses its magic cat ESP to make the camera hop out of her hands and onto the ground.
Breaks.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Just like a spaghetti noodle. Just super dumb.
Completely dashed.
They get inside and the cabin's old and spooky. The chandelier, when they walk in, immediately drops a bunch of pieces to try to kill them, and Kung Fu like hops in,
saves them all, and they just kind of completely disregard the fact that this chandelier did this business with this dance and impales a lizard.
A claymation lizard.
A claymation lizard that the cat starts eating.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the hell is going on?
Well, they ignore it and they're just like, oh, Kung Fu, you're so cool.
You're so
cool. Let's see here. Yeah, lands on claymation. They stroll by and they see the aunt's room. I know, just some, like, every room of this house has like a dozen pictures of the cat.
Yeah.
Which is just like a red flag. But...
And the one thing too is like, when they first arrive, the house, it's very monochrome.
Yeah.
Like, there's not really any color.
Sure.
And it isn't until later on that we start getting a little bit more color mode, like, schemes throughout like each room and stuff.
Well, it turns into like a hammer horror set.
Yes,
almost, because we
very-
get like heavy green light or heavy red light.
A lot of saturation and stuff.
Yeah. So they go to the kitchen and cook, and they realize that they need to go to the well to store the watermelon. And so Mac's like, yeah, I'll go put the watermelon in the well to cool it, because I guess they used to do that back in the day.
She goes back to retrieve it, and they go looking for her.
Oh, no, let's see.
Well, they put it in the well.
Oh, yeah, Mac puts it in the well, and Auntie reveals at that point that the sun frightens her, so she can't go outside.
Yeah, so she takes a nap.
And they all have dinner, right?
Yeah, so they're eating dinner, but Mac is gone.
Mac leaves to go get the melon,
and
right?
they can't find her, and it's really weird that Mac isn't there to eat the melon because she was really excited about the melon. Mm-hmm. And Mac is nowhere to be found.
So I think it's Fantasy or Sweet goes out to the well to check on Mac, and as she's pulling up the melon, she goes to the well, she's pulling up the rope, and she's just looking out at the beautiful painted backdrop sunset, and she looks down and realizes...
like the countryside.
Yeah, and it's like, it's Mac's head, right?
Yeah, it's Mac's head.
It's all blue, like old school, like Japanese ghost style.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
It's clearly like a fake severed head.
Right.
But, it's animatronic, and it starts floating around.
Oh my god, hilarious.
Fucking hilarious.
It's like bobbing around.
Yeah, it's just like, you can clearly see that it's just like, and it has like, when it goes to bite her on the ass, it's like...
Yeah.
It's like, it's just buoyant,
Super funny. Loved that scene. Unexpected. And so...
And the vomit afterwards.
Oh yeah, the head lands on the well and just vomits a bunch of like blood or red
it's
water.
Like clear Kool-Aid, basically.
Super funny. One she can stand. Let's see here. It flies around, attacks her. So as the girl runs back to say what happened, the aunt suggests that she goes and checks it out, and all of a sudden, she can stand.
Yes, that's right, because she says that the girls have energized her.
Yeah, she can suddenly stand. It's really weird, but
Doesn't
I think
have the glasses anymore.
anyone that's watched a horror movie can connect the dots and be like, oh, one of the girls is missing. Oh, she's suddenly, like, stronger, more powerful, whatever.
Writings on the wall.
And so they're all eating the watermelon. And so as they're sitting around eating the watermelon, they're all eating, just taking bites. And I think whatever girl went to the well to check.
I think it was Fantasy.
Fantasy?
Because Fantasy is the one that's always kind of probably seen this shit.
Right.
Because nobody's going to believe her.
Right. And so she looks over at the ant, and they're eating the watermelon, and the ant opens her mouth, and like
there's
an
an
eyeball looking around.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay, so Mac is the watermelon. As far as like I can,
I think that's the case too, because it's like,
because they show a slice like wiggle on a plate, don't they? And it's like, Fantasy!
Yeah, and it's kind of like, what was I gonna say? She made a comment earlier too about how Mac would probably be really delicious because she's so round.
Oh,
yes.
okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's that little foreshadowing there, I suppose.
So, like, they all start to go on with their evening and weird shit starts happening. Like, Kung Fu's chopping wood, then all of a sudden the wood stands up and starts attacking her, and she karate fights it, and then goes on like nothing happened.
Yeah, like, she's doing all this, her badass shit, and then, like, she even admits that this is absurd. And then she's just like, oh, well, whatever. And then catches her skirt, which got ripped and off in the middle of her fight scene, and... catches it like a friggin' pro.
Right.
She's Kung Fu and she's awesome.
She's awesome. Best character of the movie.
Awesome.
Probably.
Yeah, I love Kung Fu.
Gorgeous is taking a bath and like weird hair starts to climb up on her, then dips back, and then nothing else happens. And all of a sudden, like, they're in the kitchen and two girls are in the kitchen, and Auntie walks in and she's dancing. And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. And as she's dancing, without saying anything, she just walks into the
refrigerator, yeah,
and just like disappears. And the two girls are down there. And they're like, she just walked into the fridge. Whatever. And
they just dismiss it.
Then we see the aunt walk up into the rafters. She's up there and then looks at us, the audience.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, something's going on, but like, yeah, they like everything else in this movie, they totally just disregard it.
Yeah, it's like everything. It's every strange occurrence is just like whatever.
And this is where we get our first like montage, I guess, because now the aunt is dancing around the house, green screened onto things. a weird song is playing. She's dancing with a fake skeleton that was in the living room.
Oh, the skeleton.
Yeah, it starts dancing, and then the cat starts singing along to the piano song.
It's such a weird,
out of place bit.
Yeah.
But it was still fun. I like that skeleton.
Skeleton was good. Skelly Boy was good.
Gorgeous finds her aunt's room, and Melody goes to the piano and starts playing, and the skeleton is dancing in the background when Melody's just playing, and
Skelly's just back there.
Skelly's just dancing. Super fun. Gorgeous starts putting on her aunt's makeup and looking through her old things, and spooky wind starts, and the mirror starts doing weird shit. She's getting like visions through the mirror of like her mom dying, or the aunt, and just
basically,
weird.
Yeah, seeing herself turn into her aunt and her mom, and she's going through some shit basically, you know.
And she sees like weird vampire teeth in one scene, super goofy.
It's basically playing on the whole concept of Gorgeous being very vain and, you know.
Right.
You know.
And when this scene happens, what's cool, when the mirror cracks, Gorgeous's face starts to crack and pieces fall off, but behind the pieces of her face, it's just like an animation of fire. Or just fire going on until all the pieces fall off, and then she's just like a fire person and just burns up, and then we just like cut away from it, which is super
really
weird.
Bizarre.
The piano keys start lighting up as Melody's playing, and this is when Sweet. So everything's starting to get weird in the house.
She was cleaning.
Yeah, and then she gets attacked by a bunch of fucking pillows.
She finds that doll, and then it's like, you know, she's just getting beaten by these mattresses and pillows and bedding and stuff.
Sweet is attacked by pillows and feathers from the cat using ESP. The cat's like, yeah, get her with pillows. And so, but when they hear her screaming, and when they go to rescue her, she's gone.
Yeah.
Basically.
They only find the doll.
Yep.
And they find her underwear. They find like her clothes and stuff like that. They keep on finding their clothes, I think, right? Because they found, I remember.
Yeah, they find her clothes. They're like, why'd she strip in here? That's weird. And this is when Melody starts acting weird, because she says she got bit by the piano. Her stomach gurgles, and she makes a weird face, like we're supposed to.
Yeah, think that maybe she's part of the house now.
Right, but I don't think they've like followed through with that.
No, they didn't,
all.
because obviously she still got, like, you know, she got 8.
Right.
You know, but they made it seem like she was kind of like possessed or taken by the house.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah,
and it never
but they never really. It's like they kind of thought they were going to go that way, but then abandoned it. It's weird.
And then let's see what else would happen here. They go to find Gorgeous, and she's also acting weird. Lots of slow motion shot. I remember I put down, this was making me feel nauseous.
Oh, dude, that was tedious.
Like the choppy slow motion scenes, whatever.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, where it seemed like she was kind of like muffled.
Yeah.
And I think that at that point, that it wasn't Gorgeous. I think that was her aunt.
Well, yeah, she's possessed or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But like every shot is like in this weird grainy slow motion. I'm like,
dude,
she's.
I think it's kind of like she's dissociated or something.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. No, I totally get that, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, this
that
is kind
same
of her
feeling, like when you're zoning out and you can't really perceive exactly what's going on.
And then Gorgeous is like, no, I'll leave. And she walks out of the house, and everyone starts to panic. They're just like, and then shit starts hitting the fan.
Yeah.
The house is coming alive and traps them all in. All the windows shut, all the doors shut. And it's just like they all start freaking out, because Gorgeous is obviously going outside to do some weird possessed ghost shit, because she doesn't need to be in the house. And but she's just juggling weird light balls in the courtyard.
Yeah.
And then we get a cut of Mr. Togo. He's stuck in traffic. He's on his way to pick them up, and of course he's fucking stuck in traffic because he's useless.
He is absolutely useless. Togo is useless.
But it's like this. I love these little cuts, because it's like the comedic relief, and like the next cut, it's like him eating ramen with a bear. It's just like
weird. It's so bizarre. Why? It's so weird. And then, like, you know, it's like his story gets happier while the girl's story just gets worse.
It's just goofy.
You know, he's just friggin' dicking around eating his fucking ramen, and you know, he couldn't be bothered with it. You know, he's taking his sweet ass time.
Right. So at this point, as they said, listen to me. They're all bugging out. They're listening to Melody play, because they're like, oh, play piano. It'll calm us down, yada, yada, yada. And she starts playing, and this is when she gets gobbled up. Like the piano.
Fantasies in the room with her. And
right.
Yeah.
So the piano, like first, the thing slams down, the thing that covers the keys, and she's like, oh, my fingers. And then it takes her hand, and she's like, ah!
Well, she's not even that upset about the fingers at first.
Right.
And Fantasy sees it, and she's just like, what the... she's so what the fuck about it, she goes cross-eyed.
Right,
and then
right.
she sticks her hands in there again and continues, and that's when it takes her hand and then proceeds to try to take the rest of her. And it's a weird, wild scene. She's just getting chewed up and...
Dude, it was the way that the piano eats her, it was super weird. They obviously had like foam pieces made of the piano, so it looks like it's like chewing on her and gobbling her up, and then it rips her apart via green screen, and her severed green screen limbs are at like different parts of the piano,
just sticking out. Even her head, which is at this point detached from her body, is kind of peeking out and screaming and getting spit out, and it's bizarre. It's
just weird, but it's just one of the things about this movie that's like, man,
yeah,
that's a lot of art.
That's
fucking art. So they go upstairs, and Gorgeous is in her aunt's room, dressed as her Gorgeous's mom on her wedding day in the kimono and everything. And she enters a secret back room with a big spooky clock, and inside the clock is Sweet, and she's bleeding, or the clock's bleeding, or it's oozing green.
I think it's what they're trying to make it seem is like Sweet is getting ground up in the gears, which really fucking like broke my heart in a way. Like I was like, oh god, because when Kung Fu sees her, she's like, she remembers what Sweet was like. You're so awesome, Kung Fu.
Oh
and,
yeah.
And then she was like, oh god, and that was like, oh no. So that was actually, that hit me harder than I thought it would. It was good. It was effective.
And so they all run downstairs, and they find Melody dead. Her fingers still playing the piano like we see in the trailer, just kind of goofy.
Her severed arms by the fishbowl.
Yeah, all over the place.
All over the place.
And they carry Sweet out of the room. No, they carry Fantasy?
Gorgeous. Or no, is it
Yeah, because Fantasy faints all the time.
Yeah.
They carry Fantasy out of the room. And this is where we get that shot of Mr. Togo eating ramen with a bear, for whatever fucking reason. And so the girls build a barricade going upstairs. And as they read the aunt's diary, they find out the aunt is a weird witch thing that died a long time ago, but is being kept alive by eating all the young girls of the village. So it's all the pieces are falling into place, and it's what we expected. She's consuming these girls and living much longer. Mm-hmm. Everything starts going crazy. The cat portrait finally changes to our cover and turns into an evil cat with lipstick.
It's a thing.
It's weird.
It's a very human-esque mouth.
Right. And shit's flying everywhere, like poltergeist shit. All the lights, the pictures, everything's flying around.
Kung Fu's doing her thing and trying, like, just swatting all the debris out of the way as it's flying at him.
It's just...
the prof, she's, like, the smart one. But the only thing that she's really good for is just progressing the story by posing very simple solutions to things.
Right.
She's the only one who really thinks.
Yeah. And this is when Kung Fu gets attacked by a phone and then kicks the phone's ass, and then Fred Flintstone's through the fucking wall, like, for whatever reason. But it's super cool. And let's see here. Oh, and yeah, she goes to fight Ghost Gorgeous.
Yes.
Basically. And Mr. Togo's shown getting a little bit closer, but as shit continues to fly everywhere, Kung Fu is attacked by a chandelier and zapped. And we get that weird transition of body parts, like, flying around.
It's the first time that I guess we kind of really see what happens to you after you've been consumed by the house. Mm-hmm. And we see it from Kung Fu's perspective, and she's just a floating head. But she still has control over her limbs.
Right, and that's what we see, her legs, like, fly out.
Right, fly out of this chandelier and kick the cat portrait and destroy it. And that's when shit just gets way worse.
Right. But this is, like, we clearly see that this hurt the aunt or whatever, because she's like, and starts bleeding, throwing up blood, whatever. And at this point, the floor opens up, and now Professor and Fantasy are floating on Cat Blood Lake, which is just like, I don't know why the floor opens up. It's all water. They're on a little raft bed, and the cat is continuing to spew blood water.
Yeah, it's just the fakest blood water you ever see. You can clearly tell it's like dyed. It's just Kool-Aid with like underlighting.
It's red water.
Yes.
It's very transparent and viscous.
The most unbloodied blood that I've ever seen.
But the house is filling up now, and they're freaking out. And this is when Mr. Togo arrives to the watermelon salesman, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And the water salesman's like, oh, are you looking for those girls? They've been eaten, blah, blah. And he's like, oh my gosh, what? And then the watermelon salesman goes, do you like watermelons? And Mr. Togo goes, no, I like bananas.
He's like, you like bananas? You like bananas? And
then so the watermelon salesman basically is so flabbergasted by the fact that Mr. Togo likes bananas that he steps back, gets turned into a cartoon skeleton, and then a real skull floats up and just like
floats there while Togo just flips out and just screams about bananas.
Yeah, he runs to his car.
And does he try to leave?
No, he just gets in the car and goes, banana,
bananas. And that's the last time we
weird.
see Togo for that scene.
Right.
And then next scene.
Let's see. Professor falls off and becomes possessed underwater.
Yeah, her glasses. That's right. She loses her glasses, and then we see the thing.
She disintegrates, basically.
She's swimming around the blood water. We see it's like a really surreal slow motion scene of her just swimming around, and then she just basically just gets digested. We assume.
You know what happens? Fucking art. So. Let's see. Fantasy drifts through the house on her makeshift raft until she winds up at the steps and finds Gorgeous, who's clearly a possessed ghost, and then it fades to black. That's when it's like morning, and the stepmother arrives with the wind blowing through her hair, and her scarf as always.
Every frame, she's just like
slow motion.
Everything is so beautiful. Nothing can make her upset, and she's just completely over the top with scarf blowing at all times.
She's like living in a commercial, basically.
Yes, at all times, no matter what.
And this is when she walks past Mr. Togo's car. And he's just been turned into a bunch of bananas.
He's just bananas. He's just a big pile of bananas and his hat sitting on top of the bananas.
This movie doesn't stop surprising. It was just so different and weird. It's like, I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to expect from the whole bananas bit. But then I'm like, okay, it's bananas. And then she's just like, whatever, no big deal. But then it starts this scene where I don't know if the stepmom's like flying over the house. She's just going like this, and the wind's blowing, and it shows her moving over the woods and everything.
Like the montage of her just, I think it's supposed to say that she's, just walking up to the villa and, just taking in the scenery, and she sees the grapes and like, oh my god, how lovely the grapes. They grow grapes here. It's great.
Oh,
it's weird. Every scene, it's like she's oblivious to the way people treat her and is only seeing everything good and perpetually.
She sees through like commercial eyes.
Yes, she's just a commercial person.
So
thus she doesn't have a soul.
Right. So she gets there and she sees Gorgeous dressed in a kimono. Gorgeous opens up the room for her. She sits down with Gorgeous, and we obviously know Gorgeous is evil and possessed. And the stepmom sits down, extends her hand. They go to shake hands, and then she just sets her stepmom ablaze.
Yeah, she just sets on fire. Yeah, and her scarf is still.
Her scarf is like flapping. In the
like the scarf is like, oh, fuck!
Oh, dude, it's so funny. But so corny. But it's corny. So good.
But it's good. It's good. And it's really oddly bittersweet. It's such a weird movie. I don't know how.
Well, we have no connection to any of these characters.
No,
so it's like
but it's still like it still hits you a certain way. It's its own thing.
Right.
I can't really describe House in any other way. It's like.
But that's the end of the movie. That's how it ends. And I think this movie is fucking phenomenal every step of the way.
I struggle with it.
Sure.
Because for me, dealing with stuff like that, I cannot watch Disney, the original animated Alice in Wonderland, because of certain things like that.
Okay.
Anything that's like a fever dream, I can watch it eventually, but...
You don't want to revisit it often?
No, I can, but it's like... just let me ease into it because this is a lot of shit to take in, and it's a lot. And,
well, the thing is, this movie I think is kind of exhausting.
It is,
absolutely, you know, because you're really straining your brain to just like ride the ride,
right?
You know,
and
make
with it being subtitles, that kind of adds to it because you're focused on that too.
Your eyes are constantly darting around.
Right. It is exhausting.
Yeah,
it's just really because everything is really fast and. They don't linger on any one subject for very long.
No, they move on
very
for
quickly.
Everything really quickly.
And that kind of makes it seem that much more feverish and uneasy to me. It's not a slow burn movie.
I wish I had seen this when I was like 16, 18. I think I would appreciate it much more. But it's like, this is probably one of my new favorite movies, but I couldn't suggest it to everybody.
It's great. It's definitely its own thing.
I'm saying I couldn't suggest it to everybody.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not for everyone. You really have to, like,
100%.
search for this kind of shit.
Yeah, if it's not, like, if you're just not into the weird Japanese stuff, it's probably not for you.
I like all the weird Japanese stuff.
It's I like, you know, it's a lot of the stuff I love, and some of the stuff I'm like, meh. But this one... It's good. Yeah. It's definitely its own thing, and I appreciated it. And it's really weird because it doesn't feel like it's made in the 70s either.
No, it's super... Like, I was like talking to Tori, which she probably hates when I'm watching movies like this. I'm like, this is so ahead of its time.
It is. It really was.
Watch these shots. They weren't doing shots like this back then. Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah. This is the kind of movie you should show to, like, film students and shit. Just
100%.
So to see all the experimental things they had going on. But yeah, I loved House 1977. Would highly suggest it.
Same. It's not for everybody, but if this kind of thing tickles your fancy, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, if you like weird dancing skeletons and blood-spewing cat portraits and killer pianos.
Yeah, I think you might dig it.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
So that's it for the ticket booth this week. We are going to be moving on to our next subject, which is a sad subject. But either way, that subject is fucking art. Love it. This is Silver Surfer Requiem. Let's get to the pull box.
Fantastic. Here we are at the pull box.
Here we are at the comic book store. Even though this book has never been in my pull box. Let's see here. Yeah, I've never had this book in my pull box because I'd never heard of it. And when I was working at the comic book store, Gary was like, I was like, what's a good read, man? You've been working here for fucking ever. What do you know? And he's like, well, if you want something really good, Silver Surfer Requiem. And I'm super happy I took him up on that because it was available in the store, of course, because no one buys this book. It's not worth anything. And it's just really fucking good. And I don't hear anyone talking about this. Where's the Silver Surfer love? I know he got shit on with the movie.
Well... That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Those movies...
They were fucking terrible. And honestly, the Silver Surfer wasn't terrible in the movies.
It was Doug Stone who played him, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
I'm sure it was Doug. He plays everybody. It's like a
CGI or costume thing. But it's like, I thought he was all right in the movie. It's just everything else about the movie. The Fantastic Four movies sucked. Galactus was a space fart. You know, it was just like...
absurd. No respect. No respect for their villains.
So for Silver Surfer Requiem, we have writer. Let me see if I can get this name straight. Michael Straczynski. Michael Straczynski. And look for the link for his bio because this guy's got some actually really cool stuff. He wrote the psychological drama film Changeling from 2008. He was one of the key writers for Thor, which is whatever, Underworld Awakening, World War Z. But he, let's see here. He's the creator of the science fiction television series Babylon 5.
Oh, okay.
And its spin-off Crusade. And he's done a ton of different stuff for Marvel. He's done Thor, Fantastic Four, Superman, Earth 1, Wonder Woman. He had his hand in Before Watchmen, which was an interesting series. That was like everyone had their own arc.
Okay, yeah. I remember hearing. I didn't read it, but I remember hearing about it.
It was pretty good. I think at least the Minutemen series was the best part of all of that.
Okay, yeah.
Because they were like the predecessors
to
the Watchmen.
Like guys like Hangman and like the Mothman and stuff like
who's
that.
the Hood? It's like...
Or the Hood. That's it. That's what I meant. The Hood.
What's his name, though?
That's his name, though, isn't it? The Hood? Or whatever he had. The
Hooded Justice
Hooded
or
Justice,
something.
yes.
Okay, yeah, and they, like... We find out that he has a gay relationship,
right.
and, like, he got killed or killed his boyfriend or some shit.
Right.
Like, it was actually a really great story, and then everyone else's was like, meh, okay. And then, for our artist, we have Isad Rabik, who, like I mentioned before, I like a lot of his work because he did the Conan covers, and, God, what was it? The new Secret War covers.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah, those were good.
Thor God of Thunder, I think, too. All those really artsy looking books he does the covers and art for. So he's really great, and I like him. So the story, in short, it's for many years Norrinrad has surfed the galaxy, exploring the darkness between stars, witnessing the rise and fall of vast civilizations. Now his ride is about to come to an end. It starts with a small spot, a blemish that will spread until he is no more, aka the Silver Surfer is dying. Like I said, this issue is broken up, or this story is broken up into 4 issues, and we're going to talk about each one really quickly. So in issue 1, we got to build up our story. I think there's a little bit more meat and potatoes to this one than the other ones, because the Surfer goes to Earth to speak with Reed Richards because he knows that something's wrong, and the power cosmic material that coats his body is deteriorating.
And it's weird listening to or reading Reed explain it, because he explains it's like less than a micron thick, and it's like, but it's protecting him his entire
It's like
life.
part of his body.
Yeah, and it's been protecting him as a Silver Surfer his entire existence as a Silver Surfer, and now it's disintegrating basically.
Right, and there's nothing they can do. Reed and Susan spent a bunch of time doing tests on him, and since the power cosmic thing is thousands of years tech-wise into the future than they could even comprehend, they can't do anything about it. And so with this information, the Surfer goes out to spend time on Earth before going back to Zenla, his home planet, and before he dies. And he knows that he's got about 3 weeks or a month to live. So what breaks my fucking heart about this issue, because each issue ends with a really poetic and strong bit, and I'm going to show the images, stills up on the screen while we talk about him. So he reads like, I'm so sorry, we can't do anything. And he's like, look, Reed Richards, I've heard that the monarch butterfly only has 3 weeks to live on your planet. And to that butterfly, those 3 weeks are a generation. That's an eternity. So if I have 3 weeks to live, thank you so much. And I'm going to make the best of it. And as he's flying away, in this last still image, he's flying upside down, and he says, I'm the Silver Surfer. I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying. And I just fucking cry when I read that. I'm just like, oh my God.
Dude, it hits you so hard.
The repetition, it's just like, I don't know what it is about that repetition. Maybe because we see the Silver Surfer as such like a
godly being.
Basically. A godly being, but we don't see emotion out of him.
No.
And maybe that repetition is him expressing that emotion.
He's thinking about it over it's like
over.
He's convincing himself.
Yeah.
Like that it's reality too. Like, I'm dying.
Okay, I didn't even think about that.
It's because like I'm dying, and like that's it, and that's what I got from it. But it's still either way, they're both valid. It's just like that. The way it's written, man, like it hits you on. To me, it was the second issue with Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're about to get to that. Oh, dude, that's brutal.
Oh, my God.
So after that, that's the end of the first issue.
God.
So we get to issue 2, and this is where, in brief, the Surfer meets up with Spider-Man as the Surfer contemplates what he can do for Earth to thank it as being his secondary home, basically, before he leaves for Zenla. And as the night continues, the Surfer offers Spider-Man a taste of the power cosmic to experience the freedom. Because, of course, Spider-Man is, like, joking the whole time. He's like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm making jokes. And he's like, hey, what's up with the surfboard? It's kind of hokey.
Right.
And he's like, he basically breaks it down. He's like, it's a function over fashion.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
He's like, I can travel the stars absolutely free and unhindered with a vessel that I won't fall off of, and I'm just free out in the cosmos. I don't want a ship. I don't want a car.
Right.
And so he's like, I want to give you that feeling. He's like, I want you to know what peace feels like. And Spider-Man goes, well, I suck and I have no money, so I'm going to get MJ because it's her birthday.
Yeah.
And this is going to be her birthday present because we see Spider-Man trying to buy a piece of jewelry for her.
Yeah, and like as they're talking, there's this bit of dialogue that really sticks out to me. How they're talking about like the world and like how like it gets them both down. How like no matter how much they fight, they can eliminate evil, but there's always going to be a vacuum, and whatever evil they eliminate, it's going to be filled by something that's potentially worse or just as bad.
Right.
And like they're as they're talking about this, like they're going through all these like conflicts over the planet and stuff like that, and all these like tyrants and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, if we liberate these people will come in.
Yeah.
If we make everyone rich, it'll decrease the value of the dollar, and the people that thrive or need that work will be ruined.
Yeah, and they just
Blah,
have
blah,
this
blah.
talk, and then he brings MJ in, and he doesn't just share like the cosmic experience with her. It's like,
Oh, you know what? Hang on. I'm going to refill both of our coffees. I'm going to grab the books.
All right, yeah,
And we're
'cause-
going to read the dialogue.
all right, dude, it's so good. It's so good.
Describe it.
And
The feeling of freedom that she had.
and the thing is, that it's like, okay, when I read it, it resonated with me in a way that was very familiar. That whole scene in which he experiences, and it's like, oh man, it's something, man.
Well, she's just like, I was free. I've never felt anything like that. Thank you, thank you. She was gone for less than an hour, but for days afterward, she would try to describe what she saw, what it felt like. And, and so Spider-Man decides that the perfect gift that the Surfer could give humanity before leaving Earth is to let everyone experience it. So I'm going to make James cry here and read this last page that has this fucking amazing piece of artwork. I'm going to show this still on the screen for a better image. But it says, in prison cells where light could not penetrate, in cities and villages where the gnawing ache of hunger was eternal and tangible, in torture camps and war zones, in the parliaments of tyrants, in distant places where hope had become a mockery and tomorrow was only a promise of continued pain and suffering, in the thoughts of those who caused violence because they knew no other way, whose own minds were as torn and tortured as those they harmed, for 5 minutes, and they and the whole world knew what it was to be at peace, to be free. Dude. Fucking crazy.
Dude, it was like, it hit me so hard. I was like, shit.
And like with the image showing,
Yeah,
of
the
it,
image,
it's like,
the art, you're just like, it was like, God damn it, man.
it just shows a wide variety of like people just starstruck in awe. You
Yeah.
know, they're just like, they can't believe it.
Such a powerful, powerful fucking book, man.
Crazy. So that's issue 2. The Surfer then flies off to travel to Zenla and start his journey. So he
Doesn't he go to Strange first?
No, that's the beginning of issue 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, no, he doesn't leave for Zenla yet. He's traveling the Earth more to experience more on Earth. So in issue 3, the Surfer's confronted by Stephen Strange before leaving Earth, and Doctor Strange gives him basically all of Earth's information.
Yeah, basically the codex of the Earth.
He's like, the only thing I can do for you that I can think that you would benefit from is give you this weird flame thing that's basically all of Earth's secrets and information, yada yada. So you'll know, and this is information before you arrived and after you arrived, so you can see the things that you've done for us.
Okay.
Your contribution to planet Earth and the things you've accomplished and the people that you've saved.
The record, basically.
This is the change that you've made on Earth. And I think issue 3 is probably my favorite one, because so after he leaves Doctor Strange, he's traveling for 8 days through space, and all of a sudden, in the middle of his path, he confronts a battle going on. All these different ships, you know, it's all really cool looking spaceships, actually, like original sci-fi looking ships. And he's heralded by beings from the main mothership. He flies in there, and it's these 2 leaders of 2 alien races.
Yeah, the 2 warring teams. They're basically the two top generals are there basically regarding the war and peace. And it's a really jarring, weird...
Well, they're like... They basically summoned him to see if he could help out on either side, because they've been warring with each other for generations and generations. That it's what they do.
Right.
Like
they don't know any other way.
Right. Well, these supreme beings have made it so that they are constantly in war, constantly in battle. They're constantly upgrading, getting secrets from the other side. So they're always moving up technologically for warfare to battle and kill each other. And these two leaders are sitting back and they say it's the glorious war. They're like, this is what we want. Like, we had gods, their gods were different. So that was blasphemy. So we built a bigger statue, they built a bigger statue, which was even more blasphemy. And so we're basically raising people to live in this glorious war, because that is our purpose.
Man. Only thing is, they've been doing it for so, like, I think like thousands of years.
Generations and generations, yeah.
So this war, it's all they knew, and it's they glorify it in a way that it's all they know, you know? It's basically their life and their existence.
It's their holy purpose as the leaders of these races to continue this war.
And they're basically in the same room, like, you know, just talking about it in such a casual manner.
Right.
But it's also, like, you know, a sacred thing.
Well, they're like, why do you sit up here while your people die? And they're like, they want us to sit up here. That's how they know that we're holy, because we are up here. You know, blah, blah, blah. And so the surfer is just totally disgusted by all of this. And so he flies out and he destroys all of the weapons on all of the ships. He flies to both of the planets and destroys their statues of
their idols.
Their idols, yeah, thank you. And
their temples, all their religious stuff, he just annihilates all of it.
Yep, and in that moment, these people realize what they've been subjecting themselves to for generations.
Because this guy came out of nowhere and destroyed their gods.
Right.
And as he does this, he takes all the fire in the process. And you got to remember, he's not protected the way that he was. So he sustains heavy damage as well in the process. And,
oh yeah, they're like, they hit him and we were surprised that it hurt him.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Right.
So he does that, and they end up building a giant statue of the Silver Surfer years later, because they're like, oh, this is the man. This is our new god, basically. And that's when we get to our last page, which has such a fucking beautiful quote. And it's the surfer. He's flying through space. And it says, nor would we forget the words he spoke to us before he left. If sacred places are spared the ravages of war, then make all places sacred. And if the holy people are to be kept harmless from war, then make all peoples holy. Oof. Man. Powerful message in every single one of these issues.
God damn it, man. It's such a good series.
Oh, dude, it's so good. In issue 3, it reminds me kind of like Warhammer. Like the universe.
Yeah. I feel like I got those vibes. I'm not
and...
super familiar with the Warhammer stuff, but when I read that, it kind of like... I got that feeling from it.
Right. Just like the war scene as like a biblical justification. Or, I don't know. I'm butchering
There's
it.
always a theological... war is always going to have, you know, that kind of stuff involved. And the way he addresses it, it's like, shit, man, if it could be that fucking easy for us.
Yeah.
You know? So,
then leads us to the final issue. Issue 4 of Silver Surfer Requiem. This is when the surfer finally makes it back to Zenla. He actually makes it and crashes because he's just out of juice. And that's where he's in critical condition, but he reconvenes with Shalabal, his old lady.
Yes.
From
his
back,
mate.
Before he turned into the Silver Surfer. And also, that's when Galactus arrives.
Yes.
Everyone's like looking up at the shadow that's starting to loom over the city and everything, and it's like, oh fuck. Galactus knows that the surfer is dying, and he's here because that was part of the surfer's deal with him, is that he would spare Zenla if he became the surfer and found him other planets to eat.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh fuck. But dude, Galactus arrives in just to honor the Silver Surfer. he picks him up like a child, and looks at him. And the surfer even states, he's like, I've seen my creator be angry, be sad, whatever. But today I saw him be angry, be this, whatever. But today I saw him be sad. And he looks at me and picks him up, and like he says that he could try to save him, but he doesn't know if he can. The fact that Galactus speaks to the surfer and says, I want to save you, but I don't know if I can. And he doesn't say it, but the surfer analyzes this from just interacting with Galactus.
Yeah.
And so we know that he can't save him, but God, what did he do? It was... Oh no, he kills him. So Galactus kills the surfer basically to give him a clean death, so he's not suffering. And this is when shit gets fucking real. Because I remember reading this page the first time I read it, and it put chills down my spine. Because on this page, we see Galactus. Yeah, there he is. I'll show the actual still. But he stands over and watches for 3 days for the surfer's funeral and just watches over the planet, standing over it. And you're just like, wow,
the
man.
The being that consumes planets.
No remorse, no emotion, nothing.
Just stands there for 3 days for his herald.
Oh, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Dude. But so good. And so at this point, Norrinrad dies. The funeral happens. And Shalabal actually talks to Galactus. And she's like, look, if you were here to honor, the surfer, blah, 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 I have a request. I have something to ask of you. And he goes, make your request. And it says, and she did make that request. And Galactus basically launches the surfer's body into space and turns him into a star to perpetually light the dark side of Zenla. And what does it say here? Oh man, it's heavy as fuck. What does it say here? Yep, the newly birthed star was positioned always to be on the dark side of Zenla, to remind the world not so much of his sacrifices, not so much for what he lost as what he gave. The light of hope, the light of love, the light of possibilities. Astronomers on 1,000 planets would name this new star each according to his own world's own myths and beliefs, but only an Earth poet of a long ago year summed it up. When he shall die, take him and cut him into little stars, and he shall make the face of heaven so fine that all the earth would be in love with night and pay no worship to garnish the sun. Whew. Ooh. Ooh. And this is delivered by, we find out at the very end, it's probably Uatu, or a watcher. But I'm assuming it's Uatu because he watches over Earth.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And man, just like
a
strong finish to the 4th book. And this is just, like I said, in closing, this is one of my favorite comic series of all time.
And I'm not a Silver Surfer guy.
No one is. No one's a Silver Surfer guy.
But it's a great fucking book, and everybody should read that.
All right, absolutely. And I know I spoiled a lot by
showing,
but
dude, it's so
like,
good, man.
You'll get a different emotion by reading it yourself.
Yeah, it's fucking excellent.
From what I could tell, the Silver Surfer was really only popular in the 70s, because when he came out, the Surfer was really
Oh yeah, like just surfboards in general and stuff.
Right. Well, no, not surfboards, but he was very not psychological.
Psychedelic?
Just like very, I guess, profound. Every time he would talk, his way of thinking and everything was more outside of the grand scheme of
kind of like philosophical.
Thank you, philosophical. I don't know why I brain farted on that, but like he's all about finding ways around fighting as opposed to every action comic book character, oh, I'm gonna punch my way through it.
Yeah, he's trying to find a way to kind of. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I saw like Stan Lee used to do like.
He's more like a pacifist, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Stan Lee used to like meet up with like college students like for seminars and talk, like use the Silver Surfer as like a talking piece and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, and the Silver Surfer is really neat. But if you want to cry and enjoy the Silver Surfer all at the same time,
it's a great book, and it's. Even if you're not like a hardcore comic book nerd, I feel like everybody should read this book because it has a lot to offer.
It has everything. It's a sad boy comic book.
It's a sad boy comic, and everybody loves a sad boy comic book.
Especially me. But that's all we got for you today. For today's episode, that was Take a Booth and the Poll Box and our little rewind. I like talking about older shit. We don't have to
I like tackling old stuff because, there's something, I don't know, it's more comfortable. There's a lot of it's so formulaic, but when there's something that's off the beaten path, it's nice to find something that's just weird and odd. I kind of exclusively would hunt for that kind of stuff, back in the day. And I love covering. I feel like between the two of us, we can always dig up some great stuff like House.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly,
or even, shit, like old books like this.
Right. We got such a vault of old shit that we could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But, we try to stay up to date with everything, too. So,
yeah. You got to catch... we can't, just dwell on the past, so to speak.
That's right.
Yeah, so...
I cry boy all the time over this. Just thinking about it. But if you like this week's episode, our little rewind, and you want to see more of this particular kind of thing, let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, which you should have, you should click that like and subscribe button to get us up there. We're at 18 subscribers currently, and we're excited for you to grow with us. And we like all 18 of you, but you know what? Let's get some more people in the pool to tell us that our opinions are shitty or wrong.
Yeah, I'll take all the hate mail. It's
still mail.
Yeah. Regardless, you might hurt my feelings, but not that hard.
You don't have feelings, James.
I don't.
One or two. So, next episode, who knows what's going to happen? I think we'll probably end up talking about Shin Ultraman. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I don't really know what to expect, but Shin Godzilla was great, and I think that this is going to deliver as well in a different way.
All right, but anyway, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching Unpopular, the pop culture podcast. We will see you in the next one.
Later.